I've Decided presents The Journey. Along the journey to your success, there are many great adventures and great insights. You can learn from it all. Tune in the first week of every month and be encouraged by guests who will share their success stories and their challenges.
Hello and welcome, my friends. I'm Michelle Bohm, and this is The Journey, brought to you by I've Decided. I'm here today with my friend and co-host, Jeannie Quick. How you doing, Jeannie?
I'm doing just great. It's a beautiful day.
Gosh, it's a beautiful day. I know, and whenever it is nice like that, I just skip wherever I'm going because it's comfortable. I'm happy.
I even turned the air condition off yesterday and opened the windows and got some air. And I had to close the windows in the middle of the night because I was cold.
Who would have thought in August?
Yeah, but it's coming back.
Yes. Yeah. So we shouldn't get too comfortable.
No.
Right now.
It's August.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've had a good week already. I mean, I know it's only Tuesday, but this last week, I have been kind of struggling a little bit with some distractions, some things that have kind of gotten in the way of my goals. And so I was really happy on Sunday when I got my email from I've Decided, and the winning word was distractions. It's like, that seems pretty fitting. It always happens that way. Whatever I feel like I'm going through, I open my email on Sunday, and usually there's something from I've Decided that's like, this is what you need to focus on this week. So our weekly winning word is distractions.
Right.
And I think that you are somebody that has coached me before on how to avoid distractions. Mm-hmm. So I always look to you for advice for, well, pretty much anything. But especially something like this. Like, you teach about productivity and how to not be distracted by all of the pretty valid distractions that we have in our life right now that we need to pay attention to. But you teach about how to not be distracted by that.
Well, I think a lot of it is your goals, and if you got to keep them in front of you and that. But all of us have distractions, and you've just got to keep them at bay and know that they're there, And I think what helps a lot is, like with me, is the night before I make my list for the next day, and then I'm ready when I get up the next morning. But I do have to keep distractions in that, and all of the things that you have, social media, sometimes we want to get up and that's the first thing we want to look at, which you shouldn't do it right away and everything. But, you want to maybe set out working, at first with your hardest things to accomplish that day. What do they call that? Eat the Frog?
Eat the Frog, yeah.
Yeah, that book.
Where, which... For our viewers, if they're like, why are you talking about eating frogs? There's this great book, this great procrastination block, basically, that if you knew every day you had to eat a frog at some point during that day, when would you do it?
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, and then you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. Or where I would tend to be like, oh, I'll do that later. I'll do that later. I'll do it later.
That's distractions.
Yeah. And it's procrastinating because I don't want to do that thing.
Right.
I don't want to eat that frog. But if I just ate it first thing in the morning, then the rest of my day I wouldn't have to think about it.
I think that might be some of the thing right there is we procrastinate. And so when we procrastinate, we welcome in those distractions. No matter what they are. So I think maybe dealing with procrastination. Mm-hmm. I know that one of the biggest challenges was when I moved my office to my house, and that when I first did it, it was when gasoline was so expensive.
Right.
Because I would load everything up and take it to the office and unload it and work there and then go home. So I made it, because the dishes were calling. The laundry was calling, anything else was calling. And so I made it where I physically got dressed in the morning and went, and even sometimes put a coat on at first. And walked into my office, took my coat off, and sat down, shut the door, like I was at an office and everything. Sometimes I didn't come out till either I had to go to the bathroom or I had to eat or something like that. But I learned to look past those dishes, or the laundry or whatever, and so I think we can teach ourselves.
We can train ourselves to do that.
There we go.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people are working from home now that never had in the past. I've also had to work from home with little kids, and it's like, yeah, you can't ask for any bigger distraction than little kids running around. So you've got parents trying to homeschool their kids, do the remote learning thing. There are tons of distractions. So we have to be incredibly intentional about. I used to do that too. I'd put my tennis shoes on. I might be in my pajamas. Sometimes I wouldn't get dressed, but I might be in my pajamas. But the act of putting my tennis shoes on was, I am ready. Like, I am ready to do something. And I would get so much more done because I've just had trained my brain that when I put my tennis shoes on, I am working on something. It was that like trigger, I guess, that I needed.
Well, what you were talking about is so many people working from home now. And I think that's where you have to make a plan. And you have to stick to that plan, even if you get a distraction, get that distraction out of the way and then learn not to use that distraction again. And when you work from home, if you have enough room to make yourself like an office or an area that is yours, you can even put different sayings on the walls about distractions or whatever. So if you kind of get distracted by something, look up and
bring yourself back.
Bring yourself back.
Yeah. And in the weekly winning resource, I kind of knew this, but it was the science behind it was kind of interesting, that our brains are hardwired to notice distractions. That is just how we are built. That's how we needed to be able to pay attention to all kinds of different things because we would be in danger all the time.
Right.
Caveman days, you're worried about a saber-toothed tiger coming at you, so you got to pay attention to any noise that you hear. And our brains still do that. It's just that the noise that we hear is the ping on our cell phone or the dishes calling or, those are the noises that we hear that our brain is hardwired to notice. But we can retrain it to not pay attention to those things right now. I think of it, it reminded me of when I'm trying to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm sure I have some adult ADD issues because of the way that just my life is. Because I'm always trying to multitask, and they always talk about like in the guided meditations that I do. They always talk about as your mind wanders, just gently bring it back. And I try and do that when I catch myself like, oh my God, it's been a half hour. What am I doing on Facebook right now? Like, I'm not even looking at anything. I know that it's going to take me 20 minutes to get myself back to where I was. And I'll kind of beat myself up about it. Like, come on, that's just a distraction. You don't need to do that, instead of gently bringing myself back to what I was actually working on. And if I can make myself do that, if I can make myself come back to where I was, then it doesn't take me 20 minutes anymore. It might take me 2 minutes to get my brain back to where it was. But that's a practice. It's something I've had to learn how to do. What do you do to kind of bring yourself back when you're gone? When you realize like, oh, I'm in La La Land right now. I'm definitely not thinking about what I need to be thinking about.
I think one of the things is like refocusing. I will get up from where I'm, sitting there, because sometimes I sat for a long time being a realtor and that. So I will get up and I will like walk outside or get some fresh air or fill my coffee or whatever like that. And then go back and, okay, where was I?
Okay.
And pick up from where I was, and I've lost that distraction.
Yeah.
So I guess waiting for the next distraction to come along. But I think, and also the article pointed out too, is sometimes set fake deadlines.
I really liked that idea.
So if we kind of say, I have got to call 10 people by 11 o'clock. Okay, and it is 10 o'clock and I've only called 5. It's like, okay, I only have another hour to call those other 5, and everything. So I think that's it. And then they also talked about, like, which I have not done that, but one of the things they were talking about, there was different apps that you could do.
You can set an alarm.
So you can go in there, and also if you're really, really serious, then you need to turn off any of your Facebook messages, any of that stuff that's going on.
Notifications,
leave your phone out in the other room and everything. And they even talk about working like maybe 50 minutes and then reward yourself.
Yeah.
And for the next 10, with Facebook or something. My trouble is I'd probably that 10 minutes go a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, and I can't not be on social media, but I've noticed some way in my computer that there's some kind of setting, and I have to find this, that it'll pop up like messages over the side or emails or whatever like that. And it's like, I've got to get that off there because that's a distraction.
Yeah, because every time that pings, your brain,
I read it.
it goes to it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't help it.
No.
That's how we're
doesn't
wired.
even have to ping.
Yeah,
it just jumps
pops up.
there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, and we've trained ourselves that is important information, and so our brain is concentrating on it, where if we can just retrain the brain to not pay attention to those things until we've told it, okay, now it's time to read our emails, or now it's time to, because I've caught myself doing that. If I leave my email open, I get nothing done.
No, because it
Nothing.
pops up all the time. Another thing too is maybe on if you get lots of calls or whatever with that, or text messages, put on your answer machine or whatever that I will call you back within an hour. I think mine has that. I need to change it for something new. But or I check emails
At this time,
noon
and this
and
time.
6, and I will respond to them or whatever. So it's letting that person know that you're not ignoring them or that you will get back with them, so
And,
I
and
think
then you're doing your most important work instead of everybody else's most
I know
important
there
work.
was another realtor when I first got into real estate that on her voicemail, she says, I am with clients
Yeah.
or whatever today. So leave your message and I will call everyone back after 6 o'clock tonight. So I knew I was going to get a call and I wasn't being brushed off. So
Right.
I think we have to set and figure out what works for us. What works for you might not work for me,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So kind of go through and even look at the distractions. Where am I getting the most distractions? Are they emails or are they phone calls or whatever? And then gear. If it is phone calls, set. I will call you back after 5 o'clock this evening. Or if it's text messages, I know there's things that pop up and says, I can't talk right now. I
Yeah.
see that a lot, when I text somebody. So find out where a lot of your distractions are and then deal with them.
I think that's great advice. And if your distraction is your kids, because I had that, like, I was trying to build a business
Yes.
at home with 2 kids under 2,
Yes.
and I just learned to do my most important work after 9 o'clock when they were in bed. Like, the stuff that I needed to concentrate on, I would do at 9 o'clock. The phone calls that I needed to make for the first couple years, I'd be like, shh, I'm on the phone, like trying to
Right.
get my kids to be quiet so that I could be on the phone. Then I was like, oh, just schedule my phone calls for when they nap.
Right.
And then I can do the not important things, like the busy work, the checking my emails, responding to those kind of things. I can do that because I can send a quick email and then go run and do something with the kids. It was that if I was trying to do something where I was trying to concentrate with them running around, it was impossible.
No.
And then I spend the day frustrated. They spend the day frustrated. So for those people that are at home right now working, I think if you just really think about, like, what are the times of day that I need to do these kind of things versus these kind of things, I think that made all the difference in the world to me.
I think one of the things too that we have to teach our kids.
Yeah.
We have to teach them to some way to be structured and that. And as I'm mentoring some people that have children, depending on the age, sit down and, explain to them, which might make more than one time, I'm having to work from home now.
Yeah.
So let's make a deal. Let me have 30 minutes or an hour, or depends on the age of the kids.
Right,
and that, and then I will take a half hour
Yeah.
or 15 minutes with you. So in other words, you're teaching them to let you have your time, because sometimes when you work from home, they don't really consider that as a job.
Yeah. Yeah. My kids did not know I had a job. They were like,
You have a job,
Because you only work with, they don't see you work. Right. So
and so you have to teach them, and I just went through this with a girl that has a couple, a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. Mm-hmm. They're old enough to know.
Yeah.
So, sit down, explain to them, this way I can be home with you and everything, but give me 2 hours to get this stuff done. And then I will spend an
hour.
to
the park.
Yeah, we'll go to the park, or we'll take a bike ride, or what. So I will spend time with you and that. And, again, when you're knowing that you have only 2 hours and you then promised your kids to do something, you're going to push those distractions out of the way.
You're going to get your stuff done in 2 hours.
Get done. Yeah. Because then you can spend time with your kids. So you just have to,
The article even mentioned that. You'll what you're doing will expand for the amount of time that you allow it. If you allow yourself 3 hours to write a social media post, it's going to take 3 hours. If you allow yourself 30 minutes, it's going to take 30 minutes.
Right. And you're teaching your kids too.
Yeah.
Because you're teaching them how to do it and everything. Mm-hmm. And some of them that are going to have to do school from home and everything, teach them this is when you have to do yours. Yeah. And when they're doing theirs, you're doing yours. So you're all, my granddaughter, when I go over there, the 4-year-old, it's funny. I've noticed her, I've got the laptop out and I'm trying to do work. And she'll crawl up there on the chair next to me and she'll have her crayons and her markers and everything. And then she's working and I kind of look over and I kind of chuckle because she must feel like this is her time to color or to do her work.
She's doing her office work and her office work just happens to be coloring.
And I never told her to do it. She just
That's adorable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the boys used to do things like that too. So when we were talking about distractions and I was trying to lay out what is my biggest distraction?
Yourself.
It is. It's my own. I love being inspired. I love that feeling. I love that dopamine hit that I get when I read a book or listen to a podcast and I'm like, ooh, I want to take action on this big idea right now. I got 40 other big ideas that I'm working on, but I want to take action on this one because it feels good right now. I get that dopamine hit and I get to work on something that's exciting in the moment.
Right.
But really, that's just a distraction. I've trained myself to keep chasing the next thing instead of finishing what I've started.
Maybe it's the fear of finishing.
That's, what? If I dig a little bit deeper, and that's what we were talking about before we even came on today, is what's the real reason? Because we know distractions are going to keep us away from our goals. We have big vision. We have people that are in I've Decided are here because they're trying to reach a goal. I mean, that's the entire purpose. So
organize their life.
Yeah, organize their life. They have something that they want to succeed at. Mm-hmm. They have some kind of vision, or they wouldn't be part of our community. I mean, these are people that want to do things. So we know that distractions are going to deter us. They're going to knock us off our path, maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for 5 days, maybe for 5 years. Who knows? But we know that distractions are a problem. So what is keeping us from protecting ourself and our vision along this journey? I think it's fear. I think it's fear of, the reason that I won't say no to that shiny new thing, or no, I can't come to your party because I have to work on this or whatever. The reason that I won't do that is because I have a fear of missing out. And so I want to do it all instead of, it's just that fear of missing out.
And I think, which I shared with you, I think over the couple of years, I've kind of determined that and everything. My biggest fear is fear of success.
Isn't that crazy?
If I succeed, oh my gosh, that's going to change
your whole
everything.
Life. Your
and
whole
that.
Life.
So,
yeah.
So that's my fear. So if I stay down here, I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And having these distractions and everything. And
kind of piddling around, but not really having to do the real hard work.
Right.
Because that requires you to put yourself out there.
Right.
And,
so and there might be a lot of other people out there that, they're not coming right out and saying it, because it took me a long time to.
Because it doesn't make sense. Why would I fear success? People fear failure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But why would you fear success?
You stop and think about that. When you get on that level that you've succeed, look at a lot of your movie stars and stuff like that, and they get so successful and that, and I'm not putting them down, but sometimes drugs in her, other
Some
things in
sabotage
her,
in
whatever.
some way.
Or they
Yeah.
sabotage themselves
Yeah.
because, again, it's that fear of success, and they don't know how they're going to handle
Yeah.
it when it
What's
gets
going to
there.
happen when I get everything that I want?
Yeah.
Will I lose what I have
Yeah.
and I love if I get everything I want? I mean, really. So we've determined now that we're only distracted because we're afraid
Right.
of something.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can limit that fear of taking the next step, of finding the next success,
Yeah.
then distractions won't be as difficult for us anymore. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think you know me, whenever I have a problem, I'm like, what's the root cause of the problem?
And you keep wanting to dig deeper.
I'm
and
like,
deeper.
just keep digging until I figure out what's the root cause. Because is the problem really that I can't say no to people that want me to do things? No, because I can say no in other areas of my life. So that's
You
probably
think
not
you're
true.
going to miss out.
Afraid I'm going to miss out. Is the problem that I am on social media or watch the news too much? Yeah, but I could probably stop that. What's the real problem? The real problem is that I'm afraid. And all of these other things are comfortable. They're comfortable distractions. So I'm going to challenge people that if you are distracted, dig a little bit deeper. What's really holding you back? And then, take steps to make that happen. In the winning resource, Kim gave us a challenge to limit our distractions.
Yeah.
So 3 daily intentional things that will help you limit your distractions.
What are yours?
I decided I was going to say no to things, and by saying no, I mean I'm getting better at saying no to like obligations because there's not time. So now that decision has been taken from me, and I can say there's not time. But I don't say no to reading that next book or listening to that inspiring podcast that's about something completely different and gives me new ideas. So right now, I'm going to only listen to things that are about the subject that I am working on.
Okay.
Okay, I know. Like, you're gonna have to check in with me next month and see if I can do that because that is going to be very difficult for me. But if I am working on branding, then I only listen to things about branding. I don't get to listen to things about productivity or whatever other topic I'm interested in for the day. I'm also going to give myself the set amount of time to do things because I like having flexibility in my day. So I'll be like, I need to have this one thing done by the end of the day, but then it takes me all day.
Right.
So I am going to try that and see if I can limit that time. And then I'm going to remove myself from things that aren't serving me. In the last couple months, I've had to remove myself from social media and from watching the news. I'll give myself like 10, 15 minutes a day because I can easily become obsessed with that. And so I'm going to remove myself from those things. And I feel like if I do those 3 things, I'm going to have a really, really productive month if I can stick to that. So you're going to hold me accountable.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
I think one of the things is I've broken down my I think the 5 main things that I have, I've decided is one. My real estate is one. I'm the president of the Optimist Club.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I have a couple, my finances, whatever, home stuff. So I have these 5 categories. And so when I'm working on one category, I'm not jumping to all the other categories.
Like, let me go pay this bill. Let me send
Yes.
this email for this.
Set where I'm intentionally working on, like if I have a board meeting coming for the Optimist, I'm working on that until that's done. But I'm setting a time limit,
That's good.
Then I move to the next one. So I might not work on the Optimist every single day of the week, but like maybe Monday and Thursday or something.
It's your optimist block.
Right, is
gotcha.
my block. So more blocking my obligations, I think, and finishing what I have to do with them, that obligation right at that moment. Now, real estate, that's an everyday thing.
Right.
So, but again, setting a time frame, whether it's 9 o'clock to noon or whatever. another thing that I've been really trying is I am not scheduling any appointments in anything until after 10 o'clock in the morning. Not that I'm laying in bed
Right.
and whatever like that.
You're an early riser, so
You know, I'm up usually 5 or 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I've almost put a full day work in.
before your first appointment.
But I feel like it works better if I say my first appointment's 10 or my first appointment's 11, because then I get those things out of the way. And if I know I've got to go to the appointment at 11, then I have my time block in
That's
with
smart.
that. So,
Yeah. I
anyway,
think that'll work.
So,
So next month when we come back on the journey, we'll share how we're doing on this, because it's a struggle for me.
yeah.
And limiting those distractions, but I feel like now that I understand the root cause of that distraction, I'm more motivated to fix it.
And I'm sure our viewers have lots of things that
Oh.
distract them. So we'd even like to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
tell us what you
can
think.
you can go to I'veDecided.org and just put in there, distractions or whatever, or the journey you want to add. And so I suppose you could probably even mail them. I don't remember the address, but anyway, send them to us, and maybe we'll have time to read some of them online.
Tell us what's distracting you. And a lot of people have had the same kind of distractions and can share what has worked for them.
What's your solution? Maybe we might pick one of those up.
Yeah, because really that's what I've decided is all about: sharing the knowledge that we have in our community, helping one another reach their goals and dreams. If you'd like to learn more about I've Decided, and I highly encourage you to join our community, come by the garden now on Sterling. So go to I'veDecided.org, but come by the garden and meet some of us and talk about some of the things that you are striving for. There are success groups now for everything. Yeah. I mean, whether you want to lose weight or start a business, I've Decided has a success group that could seriously help you. So check out I'veDecided.org. We invite you to join our community. Jeannie, the journey is already over. Like we could sit here and talk for days, but we're running out of time.
This Thursday, if anybody wants to get on the BYOB, which I don't
Yes.
think we call it that anymore.
Yeah.
They've changed the name. But go to I'veDecided.org and you'll have the password in there. I think we're still doing Zoom
meetings right now, which hopefully we won't have to do Zoom meetings forever. But right now, just being able to see people and hear, connect in that way is enough.
And the whole calendar for everything is on there. And the conference is coming up the 12th.
Yeah, gosh.
So.
Already. I know.
It'll be a Zoom one, but
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to be dynamite.
It'll be fantastic. It always is. So again, we invite you to check out I've Decided, and next month we'll be back here again, first Tuesday of every month for The Journey. I'm Michelle Bohm with my friend Jeannie Quick, and we will see you next time.
PeoriaLife.com